What is up, YouTube? Johnny here again today, and we're going to be bringing you episode 15. Now, as the title says, the Lexus IS300 is indeed broken down. So what happened was that, throughout the course of me driving it as my daily driver, I started hearing, little noises here and there. It's obviously a 2002, so it's 14 years old. So I figured, it's a used car, something's gonna be breaking down. I know I'm gonna have to be fixing stuff. It's not like with my FRS that it's brand new and everything is perfect. So I decided to just keep driving it, let whatever's gonna break actually break. That way I wouldn't have to be worrying about figuring out what's making that noise. Sometimes it could be a pain. So the day finally came, which was today. I was driving it down the street and I started hearing kind of like a scratchy noise, and then all of a sudden I started hearing my belt kind of slip, which is like a little squealy noise, and then all of a sudden everything just completely messed up. First, what I noticed was the power steering went out, so my steering wheel got really stiff. Second, the AC went out. Obviously I'm in Arizona, it's hot, so you need AC here, and as soon as it turned off, you can feel it. After that, I saw my battery light on the dash turn on, which meant that my alternator wasn't passing current. So either the alternator went out or something else was going on, right? And then the car started overheating. So all these four things just happened all at once. So I pulled over to check to see what it was, and as I suspected, the belt actually came off and ripped up a little bit. Nothing too drastic. Some parts of it are actually melted, but the actual issue was the belt tensioner. So I don't know how long the belt tensioner has been on this car, or if it's even ever been replaced. So yeah, it went out. The bearing on it just kind of locked up. It bent. It was scraping on itself, which was what was causing that noise. And then all of a sudden it just locked up. Just done, locked up, and busted the belt. Took it off, and here we are, broken down. So I had to let it cool off a little bit, and I drove it over here to the lot. So now I can't drive the IS300, but luckily when your daily breaks, you still have a race car to fall back on, and you're not carless. Okay, so I went to a couple of auto parts places because it is my daily driver and I want to keep driving it. I went to go see if anybody had the belt tensioner in stock or how much it was, right? But considering that it's a Lexus, it's not always the cheapest to just go straight to an auto parts place. Even under my business account, they were still kind of pricey. So the first one I went to was, I think, $180, which is priced to the public. Not to mention you have to pay taxes, so you're almost paying $200 for a belt tensioner on a 2002, which I'm sure I would pay a lot less for a belt tensioner on my FRS. So I'm not gonna go ahead and pay that, not at all. And went on eBay just to go look to see if they had one, and I found that these are the same for a lot of the 2Js, even for the turbo version. And I found a really cheap one that said it was for a 2002 Lexus IS300 with the 2J ZGE for 38 bucks. So 133, the cheapest that I found it for, versus 38 bucks, around 100 bucks saved. I'm gonna go ahead and take that deal, even though I have to wait about a week for it to get here, but I'd rather just lay it to rest and drive my FRS. Putting aside all the issues that I've had with the IS300 so far, we're gonna go ahead and continue modifying the IS300. So we're gonna go ahead and start with this for this video. These are JDM side markers. Since it's a USDM version, it does not come with the side markers on the fenders, and it doesn't come with the harness. So since it doesn't come with the harness, I'm gonna go ahead and have to modify the harness to go ahead and connect these. So these are gonna be hooked up to the turn signal. So we're gonna be using these things right here, which are splice connectors. We're gonna be using these to tap into the original harness to create some wiring and then hook it up to this. So luckily, when I went ahead and ordered the JDM front clip, it came with this and it came with the connector. Unfortunately, they decided to chop the wires a little too close, So in case this has ever happened to you, the dealership actually sells something called the pigtail. So this is what a pigtail is. A pigtail is basically just a connector with a lot of wire beside it, so you can go ahead and hook it up in various forms. Unfortunately, the dealer is closed today, so I'm gonna go ahead and have to modify these so I can actually use them to connect, and we can get these right here to light up like they should. So let's go ahead and do that. All right guys, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is modify these. As you guys can see, I went ahead and removed the plastic from the wire. They are now stripped. So what we're gonna be using for these is this right here. This is what they call a butt wiring connector, or they also call it a crimp wire connector. When you put these on, you crimp them onto the wire. So this is what we're gonna be doing. Since I went ahead and modified them to where they crimp right on the edge, they're gonna go ahead and crimp right on the wire. And if we force them in enough, there's a rubber base right here that will actually help it, you know, stay watertight, stay sealed. That way, in case any water does get in there or any moisture, it's not gonna mess with the wiring. So this is how we're gonna repair this, and then from here we can go ahead and hook up a wire, and then we can go ahead and splice it to the original wiring harness. So let's go ahead and start on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and connect it now. You want to make sure you force it in a little bit. That's how it's going to look. It's crimped on. It's grabbing onto the wire. Go ahead and do the second one. Make sure you get it right in the proper place. And there we are. Now we can hook up wires to these, and they will be perfectly fine. So to wire it out, I went ahead and just ordered some regular 18 gauge wire. You don't need much, since it's just going to be traveling through your fender to your headlight, which is where I'm going to be hooking it up straight to the turn signal harness on the headlights. So you don't need much, but you do need, you know, some of it to get it to travel. So this is what we're going to go ahead and use. Okay, so what I went ahead and did is cut about 3 feet of this wire, and we're going to go ahead and strip it so we can connect it. It is now stripped. So now we're gonna go ahead and crimp it onto this. So now what you do is go ahead and stick the wire inside of there, just like that, and then crimp it. And there it is. Now it's completely connected. What we want is this to be watertight. In case there's any moisture or rain, we don't want it to get wet. So now what I'm going to be using is a heat shrink. I have a couple inside of this box right here. We're just going to use the one that fits our needs better. This one looks about right. Okay, now what you do is just go ahead and slip it over. It's like a little sleeve, like that. And we're going to go ahead and use a lighter to shrink it. So there, now it molded with the wire and with this little connector, and that should be watertight. It should keep the moisture out. That way we don't have any connection problems in the future. So now just go ahead and do the same thing to the other 3, which is one here, and then the other 2 over here. And then from that step, we will continue. All right, so this is how it should look after you're done. Now we can go ahead and use the other end of this black wire here to hook it up to the original harness, which is gonna be on the headlights where the turn signal is at. So now what we have to do is run the wire through the fender. Okay, so now I already finished running the wire all the way to the headlight. You can run it through anywhere that you prefer, but I decided to run it through the fender and bring it up where the headlight is at, so I can go ahead and splice these wires and hook it up. So let's go ahead and start on that. All right, so now that we have the wire in this area, we're gonna go ahead and use a quick splice connector, which is this right here. It has 2 different slots, one for the wire that you're gonna be connecting, which is this one. You go ahead and put it in the first slot, it has a stop to where it doesn't go through. And then this second area is where the actual wire that you're going to splice into goes. So let's say, for example, I went ahead and pulled out the turn signal or the side marker, and the wires are now exposed. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just stick the wire in this area, and then all you have to do is clamp it to go ahead and establish electric connection. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright guys, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the way I did the wiring. Of course, this can be useful for any other application. If you want to install different mods or also do the wiring for, you know, any other type of lights that you want to do to your car. This is one of the ways that it can help you, just make sure that the wires that you're tapping into are going to be activated by whichever switch. For example, for me, I use the turn signal switch. So as soon as I hit that, obviously those are going to light up just like my actual turn signals do. So if you guys liked it, make sure you go ahead and leave a like for me, please. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. And see you guys later.